Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we'll be talking about the Obi Wan Kenobi Disney Plus series controversy and just all of the nonsense, which really just points to one simple solution. Fire Kathleen Kennedy. I don't understand how, at this point in time, it is not clear enough to the higher-ups over at Disney that she has no idea what the hell she's doing and that she is not fit to be the head of Lucasfilm. Now, we can all try and spin and say, oh, well, look at all the money she's made from her previous films as a producer, and hey, at least she can do her producing stuff, right? The problem with that is that it ignores a very serious flaw in her creative skills, or her lack thereof creative skills, seeing that not only has almost every single, think about it honestly, almost every single Star Wars project that she has worked on has had some type of controversy surrounding it in some form or fashion, and it has almost in half the cases, or roughly half the cases, resulted in people being fired even after long, a lot of production had already been done on a simple project. For example, obviously, Solo: A Star Wars Story. Again, about 80% of the film had been shot before she decided to step in and say, this isn't the direction that I want. Fired Lord and Miller, hired Ron Howard, who then reshot most of the film and then ballooned the budget to Solo to be one of the most expensive Star Wars films that Disney has done to date, which of course led to that film losing over $180 million in box office revenue. You then look to other things, like the fact that the original Star Wars trilogy had very different directors, obviously with Colin Trevorrow taking on the last film, which of course eventually led to a falling out because of creative differences. And now we have more and more information coming out about the Colin Trevorrow cut of the film, including some basic plot points. Of course, those were leaked by several people who had sources, but now we're actually getting Star Wars concept art that has now been confirmed to be real by Colin Trevorrow himself, who has actually made comments about correcting some of the mistakes that some people had speculated from some of those images. And so all I can really say is I'm looking at what I'm seeing here. I'm looking at everything that I'm seeing, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? This would have been such a better movie in so many different ways. Now, some people might argue saying, yeah, but would it really have been that amazing? And I still say, you know what? Probably not. Right? We look to the work that Colin Trevorrow has done in his career. We look to the Jurassic World series as being a major part of that. And overall, I've not been very impressed with the Jurassic World series. But with all that being said, at the very least, Colin Trevorrow's film would have at least followed the film that had preceded it. And I can be very critical of that film, The Last Jedi, because that film did not follow the film that preceded it. And Rian Johnson very clearly went off on his own direction, which again goes back to Kathleen Kennedy, because Kathleen Kennedy knew exactly what Rian Johnson was doing, what Rian Johnson had planned, and just let him do it anyway. She did not care about the fact that it made it very difficult for for J.J. Abrams when he came back to make a even somewhat logical conclusion to the story, because you had one film start things off, another film say, screw all that, we're going to do our own thing, and then JJ had to come in and say, well, which film am I making a sequel to? Am I making a sequel to the film that I made back in 2015 that grossed $2 billion, or am I going off of a film that made $1.3 billion and you just decided to let loose? And even though it just, again, all of this points to Kathleen Kennedy having no idea what the hell she's doing. Duel of the Fates, already, to me, personally, I like that name better. I know that some people have not been fans of that name choice, but for me, I just think that the homage it does to the score of the film, and of course, that would include John Williams himself. I just personally like that as a personal preference. Again, that is totally a subjective point of view, and that, in my opinion there. But you're looking at these images here, and you're saying, yeah, R2-D2 and C-3PO having a moment. You have Rey actually kind of looking like a badass for once. You have some interactions with certain characters with BB-8. You have even Darth Vader himself coming back, and probably what would have been a Force vision of some kind or some sort. Again, all of this stuff kind of makes you think, man, that actually seems a little bit more interesting than what we eventually got, which was them randomly bringing back Palpatine and we getting the film that we got, which was easily 2 or 3 films smashed together that didn't make any damn sense whatsoever. If we can say anything about Rise of Skywalker, it is that film does not make any damn sense. The film uses so many plot contrivances, uses so much, basically it relies on people going to see the film to be complete idiots, to not care about plot, to not care about anything. But, oh, look at all these beautiful images. Look at all this beautiful stuff on the big screen. Look at all these really great CGI images. That's all that matters, right? You don't actually care about story. You don't actually care about things making sense. You don't want a trilogy. You want a film that's going to give you random bits of fan service that you never knew you wanted. And guess what happened? People went to see the film, and guess what? A lot of audiences said, hey, they had all the shiny, bright lights, and hey, guess what? Chewie got his medal, and all this stuff was really great. Fan service, yay! But then you step back for it, and even a lot of those people are now starting to say, yeah, you know what, though? And the more I think about it, the more I realize this is not a trilogy. This is a series of 3 independent films that all go in different directions, including 2 films that are by the same director, which, again, doesn't make any damn sense. And it all goes back to Kathleen Kennedy, because she, as the head of Lucasfilm, is the one that's in charge of all of this stuff making sense. She is the one that put together the infamous story group that's led to some of the worst Star Wars stories in history. You look to the fact that you have games, you have novels from the extended universe, to the EU, to the now Legends, so-called Legends universe that was made decanonized almost immediately upon the purchase of Lucasfilm. Oh yeah, we can't have any of that. We can't have anything that looks like source material, because guess what? Later down the line, I have to claim that there's no source material. So if we're going to make it non-canon, then, hey, I guess I'm kind of right, because we've already made it non-canon. So how can we say that it's source material when we've already said that it doesn't count? I guess that's the logic that was going on in her brain. And now you have her lying again with the entire Ewan McGregor situation, with the entire Obi Wan Kenobi series. For those that have not been following this story, basically Obi Wan Kenobi has now been essentially put off by about a year or so as far as the actual production of the film, production of the series starting. And of course, Ewan McGregor is coming out because he was probably told by Lucasfilm, hey, you need to say something, because people are actually catching on that Kathleen Kennedy was caught in a lie. Because if you look to what Kathleen Kennedy said back at Star Wars Celebration, back at the giant E3 event, even more so the giant E3, rather the D3, or whatever it's called, whatever the Disney Expo is called, E3, whatever the hell it's called, right? You look to that event and she said, oh yeah, all the scripts are done and we are ready to go. We are just waiting for production to start. And now all of a sudden, oh wait, we need to rewrite a bunch of things. Wait, I thought the scripts were ready. So either the scripts were ready and all of this is just a random problem with your creative differences, because again, I believe that. I believe that Ewan McGregor probably had some input saying, I don't know about this, because hey, I think that he's a talented actor and he knows some, I guess he has some understanding of some things that are good and some things that are bad. Again, I haven't seen him in a really terrible film as of yet. I'm sure someone's in the comments going to say, oh, what about this movie? And I'll be like, I haven't seen that movie, so I really can't say. But you have him coming out now basically contradicting what Kathleen Kennedy herself said. She is the head of Lucasfilm. She is the one that should know whether the scripts are ready or not. And yet you have Ewan McGregor saying, oh, it's not that big a deal. It's not as dramatic as it might seem. This is something that happens. Productions get pushed back. And that is true. Productions do get delayed and do get pushed back. But the reasoning why this is being pushed back, which is, of course, writing issues, story issues, is just standard Kathleen Kennedy at this point in time. Because every time there has been an issue with Star Wars under the Kathleen Kennedy regime, it has always been creative differences and with the script. Colin Trevorrow, why was Colin Trevorrow fired? Because she did not like the story that he was going to write. So guess what? Fired. Gone. Lord and Miller went off on their own direction, which I think, honestly, knowing what Lord and Miller have done, probably would have been really funny, would have been entertaining, and probably would have done better at the box office, because at the very least, it would have been entertaining. Okay, people can say that Solo is not the worst Star Wars film they've ever seen, but was it really entertaining? Is it really a film that you would say, yeah, I'd go back and watch that? Probably not. But yet they get 80% of the way through shooting, and then what happens? Kathleen Kennedy comes in and says, oh, I don't like this story. Fired. You, of course, had the Boba Fett film that eventually got canceled. You got so many projects that either got canceled, stalled, delayed, people fired, all at the center of that. And she has to be, because she's the head, is Kathleen Kennedy. So I don't understand, at this point in time, how any of, even just going past people like Bob Iger, how any of the stockholders, especially people like George Lucas, because if you keep this in mind, I was just thinking about these the other day, because I saw a bunch of people leave comments about my box office video, or talking about how Disney basically still owes about $3 billion, it needs to make up about $3 billion in revenue that they have not made up from the movies yet. And someone was saying, well, actually, technically, the deal that they made with George Lucas was about $2 billion in cash, and then a couple $1 billion worth in stocks, making him one of the largest shareholders in the company. So I don't know a whole lot about stocks, which is why I'm not going to make a dedicated video to talk about that, because again, that stuff goes over my head. But last time I heard, I thought the giant people, the people that have the most, stock, the people that have the biggest, basically stock in a company, the big shareholders, I thought that they had power. I thought that had that influence. I don't understand how George Lucas himself, obviously she was handpicked by George Lucas according to many of the sources, and I honestly, to be honest, believe that, because if she wasn't, I think he would have been much more vocal about her, but he hasn't said anything. He hasn't said anything about her. He hasn't made any points, and yet I feel like he is in one of the best positions because of the fact that he has all this stock in Disney, or rather in Lucasfilm, to be able to say something. And guess what? The value of his stock has gone up tremendously since it was originally given to him back in 2012. So anyway, what are your thoughts about this, though? Honestly, I just don't understand how Kathleen Kennedy can still hold on to her job at this point. I know a lot of people say she's got connections in Hollywood. It's obvious at this point that she has got connection in Hollywood because that's the only way that she could keep on her job with this. A lot of other people would have been fired after they lost $180 million with Solo Star Wars Story. She's obviously been able to kick on and been able to make excuses. And now we have a film in Rise of Skywalker, which is coming in well underneath what The Last Jedi did, and is now going to be one of the lowest grossing films, the second lowest grossing. In fact, based on my math, the second lowest grossing, the second least profitable, whatever that was going to be, all over the place today. The second least profitable Star Wars film of all time, with the only other film below it being Solo, which lost money. That's not impressive. That's not a great legacy. That's not how you end a franchise. So what are your thoughts on that? Why do you think she still has a job? And do you think that this kind of chaos, this kind of really bad PR, because no matter how you spin it, this is bad PR, especially when you have Colin Trevorrow coming out saying, I don't give an F about what's going on because I'm going to confirm that, yeah, my story would have been better. He hasn't really said as much, but pretty much that's what he's confirming with all of him, basically confirming these images. And dear Lord, they look so much better. But let me know your thoughts about that and all they've talked about in the comments section below. Also, let me know your thoughts about the Kenobi series. Do you really care at this point? Again, I thought that it had a lot of potential, but at this point in time, if it's having these kind of issues, it's reminding me a lot of Rogue One. It's reminding me a lot of Solo Star Wars Story. My excitement level has gone down tremendously, especially since Kathleen Kennedy is basically lying to us now, saying, oh yeah, the scripts are done. Oh wait, no, never mind. They're not. Get a grip or get lost. And in my opinion, she should get lost. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash the like button. Give me a subscribe. It helps me a lot. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless. And now I want to give a shout out to my January Patreon members: animation commentator Brian P., Dion, Divex, Elizabeth M., Enrique Evangelista, Fan Addicts of Film, Father Christopher Miller, Hail Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, It's a Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, JJ Jonathan Jerembeck, Lady T, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Perpetual Punster, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Sir Lanceloto, Theodore Bendon, The DJD Show, Those Two Ball Guys, and Tina B. and Sharon Ferguson. Sharon! Thank you so much for being Patreon members. And of course, to my Subscribe Star peeps, Larry, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2Cool99, Darkstar57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J-Rod the Beer Guru, Nebanon G. Adams, and ZK Man. Thank you so much for supporting me this month. You guys freaking rock. And a special news shout out to Jeff Lebowski and Steve Glasker. God bless.